we're on.
We just saw The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. This is Kevin.
And this is Salman.
And we saw it at Amherst Cinema. And I guess, first of all, I'd say it kind of fits in a bit of the genre of a thriller, mystery, elements of film noir. But definitely has a very dark side to it. So, I mean, while I wouldn't call it horror, there's elements of horror to it just because of some of the brutality.
If you are looking for light entertainment, maybe this may not be the film. But it depends upon your definition of entertainment, I guess.
That's true. That's true, because there is one character in the film who would find these kinds of things rather.
That's correct.
Enjoyable. Yeah, without giving any spoilers, it's basically about a 40-year-old unsolved case, and this reporter is brought in to try to help this elderly, business mogul find out who killed his niece. His niece Harriet had just gone missing one afternoon in 1966, and this older gentleman's been, trying to piece together the case for years. The police have been involved, but always a dead end. And then for whatever reason, it's not really well established why they bring this reporter in to help them, but they admire his kind of investigative work. He's brought in. The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, why don't you tell us a little bit about how she comes into this?
Well, she's also an investigator, but she's investigating the investigator. And she's an oddball character. In fact, she's a really interesting person to bring in. Her history establishes... this is one of the more intriguing characters. But we should mention, apart from everything else, that this is a Swedish film. Right. So that also sets up the mood and expectations to a certain degree. And so her character actually plays an interesting twist in terms of the Swedishness.
She in and of herself is a bit of a mystery. And I think there were countless times in the film where I'm like, oh my God, they're going to break into some exposition in terms of her backstory or why she is the way she is or what happened to her when she was a child and this and that and the other.
And we don't know whether they do that or not.
But then I remember it's a Swedish film.
They're
not going to just go around, shoving, all the answers right into our face, And I think we get a good sense of the generalities, the specifics. We don't know, but you don't need to know the specifics. It's that she had a tough childhood.
So, Kevin, who's this movie for?
Ideally, I think this film is for an audience that's looking for a thriller, an audience that's looking for a mystery, and an audience with a fairly strong, I don't know if I should say strong stomach, but who can handle a bit of human brutality.
There is violence,
yeah.
No question about it. But this is also a movie for people who are looking for some shots of Sweden. I think they drive around quite a bit. So, I mean, even if you can't stomach brutality, but you can enjoy the travelogue.
Exactly.
I think that can also work. And
the countryside.
Maybe the countryside.
Yeah.
So, okay. So, but did you like the movie?
I like the movie a lot. I would put it right up there with some other foreign films that I've seen fairly recently. The Red Riding trilogy, Revanche, this good kind of mystery thriller, and with a tough. They take a very tough stance. They don't cut any corners. They're pretty brutal when they need to be brutal. I didn't think it was too gratuitous in terms of the violence.
What about a comparison with White Ribbon or A Prophet?
I see the White Ribbon comparison, definitely. There's shades of Nazism in this film, and White Ribbon, of course, it's been a number of people written about that being kind of a proto-Nazi time in Germany in terms of what Haneke's dealing with there. And dark, yeah. I mean, there are monsters in the world, and they are human. And I think films like The White Ribbon and The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo really artfully illustrate that. And I think sometimes, like especially early in the film, there's a very brutal scene. And at the time, I was like, I wish I wasn't being shown this. But then you come to realize that, like, there are people like this in the world that will do horrific things to other people simply out of their own pleasure, and then they'll justify it, as they do in the film, through some kind of sick, kind of racist and misogynist ideology.
I think the theme regarding women, I mean, that plays throughout the movie. The misogyny, I think that plays a central role. So, I mean,
Absolutely.
this is another angle. Perhaps this movie, another lens from which this movie can be seen from is misogyny.
Remember the scene when the girl with the dragon tattoo exacts some revenge against an earlier bad character, to put it lightly? The theater, well, one guy yells, "Finally!" and everybody else broke into applause. And it was brutal. I mean, what happens to him is not nice. But we, as the audience, were relieved and felt it was justified what she was doing. Let's talk about the girl with the dragon tattoo. That dragon tattoo is effing scary. It's not a pretty, Chinese New Year dragon. It looks like something even Balrogs would run away from. So
I don't know. It depends on your taste. I thought it was pretty cool. But yes, I mean, it's not one of those nice, friendly dragons. It's a little bit more threatening.
It's threatening. And so, do you see it as armor, considering the past that is alluded to for her?
Yeah, that's that's an interesting comment, and perhaps because we know that it is being made as a trilogy, there will be two more movies coming after that, and I think perhaps we are going to see a lot more background, perhaps for the dragon. I mean, overall, I like the film, and I think I recommend it, but I think it dragged a little bit too long at the ending. You go like, okay, well, I thought the movie had ended, and then there's like, oh, well, by the way, here is a slightly different ending. Oh, and there is something more, and oh, by the way, we forgot. Here is one more thing. What did you think about that?
I think that was a blatant indication that there will be successive films. And I don't think this film needed to do that. But it seemed as though the director felt compelled to tack on these two additional elements to whet our appetite, I think, a little bit in terms of trying to tie too many things together, but also make a blatant indication that there will be a second film.